Good day, everyone. On screen with me here in our Big West Women's Volleyball previews, none other than Cal Poly head coach in her 6th season, Caroline Walters. Great to have you on board again.
Thanks, Rob. Excited to be here and just chat all things Big West, Cal Poly, and I'm sure you'll throw me some curveballs as well.
Oh, of course. I've always got to catch you off guard. Looking at your 2024 season, pretty great accomplishment. 22-9, 14-4, making the Big West regular season champs. And closing out the regular season, you finished 6-1 in the month of November. Saw your team become the Big West regular season champs, as stated earlier, and a Big West Women's Volleyball Championship runner-up team. What are your key takeaways from the 2024 season?
So many, and I think the biggest thing is that it culminated at the right time. And you mentioned that, 6-1 in that final stretch. I think we were playing our best volleyball in November, which is what we preach to our team. We like to play a tough preseason schedule. We like to play as many different combinations of people as we can. We love our kids to compete in the practice gym and to get them, inserted in matches and get them match experience. And I think we saw how that worked for us over that last little stretch. Obviously, pending a few injuries at the end there, it would have been fun to see what we could have done with a fully healthy squad. At the same time, though, I'm really proud of what our program did. Going down your starting setter, I don't know how many teams could look that polished in that match against Long Beach State. And that's how we train. We train our kids to be ready to go into a match and to have success. And not only train them, I think we trust them. I think their teammates trust them. So I think we saw that with Sam coming in for Emmy. And then in the finals, after Tommy went down in that last 2 or 3 points for sure, we saw Emma come in and do a really good job against Hawaii for us. So proud of our team's resilience over the year. Cool to see Tommy win a Big West championship and so many of those seniors that had been with us for so long. So it was just a lot of hard work paying off. And again, we'd been injury free the whole time and just some bad luck at the end there.
Yeah, I have to say, watching that Big West Women's Volleyball Championship match and that semi, I believe Sam was a freshman setter at the time, or sophomore setter.
Sophomore. Yep, she's going into her third year. Yeah.
Right. And it was like you hadn't missed a step because she is so into that offense. And I mean, also the rest of your team stepped up as well into that semi. So, with that, after the spring season with the athletes that you've had there, and I don't know if you got a preview of if you start practicing yet or had a practice this morning, but what are you seeing so far, and how's the competition been like in the Mustang gym?
Yeah, we started Friday actually. So the 31st, we had a camp that we already had planned. I was supposed to close on a new house that day, so there were a lot of moving parts, and we pushed the start a day later and got going on Friday and practiced Friday, Saturday, gave them Sunday to recover, and then we'll get back into it today as well. But overall, just a lot of competition at each position. I'm seeing a high level of volleyball, a good volleyball IQ. And I thought that we took a lot of good steps in the spring. And I think that we've just continued that over the summer without the coaches in the gym. Our group does a really good job, the upperclassmen especially, of getting in there, setting the tone. They just play a lot of sixes over the summer. And to walk into a gym with 5 new people and see them systematically doing the things that we like, I think it speaks volumes about our returners and their understanding of what we want to do and how we want to play the game. So yeah, I told them yesterday, I think, every single one of you could start at a lot of different Big West schools, but we're here for a reason, and that's to compete for a championship. So own your role, be ready to be inserted, and let's keep working daily towards that.
Yep. Well, from last season, you lost 3 pretty solid pieces in Tommy Stockham, Liz Markovska, and Amy Hyatt. With the new season upon us, do you rebuild or reload here in 2025? Do you feel?
It's funny. I think that the pieces that we had waiting behind each of those kids are not exact replicas. That'll never be the case, but they all have very similar characteristics and traits. Kendall Bashir was able to play in a lot of matches for us last year. She's got that big arm that Tommy has, and then we have Emma Frederick, who's fast like Lizzie. She's hitting a faster go ball than we've ever set before. And you see a lot of commonalities in their game. And then Annabelle Falcon is a lefty for us that has played over the years, and Amy, I think, just did a fabulous job last year of being a little bit more efficient, but we knew that we could insert both Sam and Annabelle in a 6-2, which we did at times. And I've been really, really pleased with Annabelle's swings the last few days, and I'm excited to see her take control on the right, not only offensively, but I think she could be a massive threat with her block too.
Yeah. Well, we actually mentioned, we'll ask you who some key returners are going to be for Cal Poly, and, in Emmy Bullis and Brecklin Pulling, as well as Elif Hurriet. Can you comment on those particular athletes whom you're looking to shoulder some of the load for your Mustangs?
Yeah, Emmy obviously is a seasoned vet, and she's going into her 4th season and really has a good grasp on how we want to run an offense. And obviously we have Sam with her, and we have a third setter, Brooke Hansen, a freshman in the gym. And it's just been so fun watching each of them put their own little personal spin on our systems. And I feel confident with every single one of them coming in and setting. Unfortunately, Brecklin tore her ACL 2 weeks ago, so we will be without her for the 2025 season. She had reconstructive surgery a week ago. Everything went well. She intends to stay her final 2 seasons with us, so she'll be able to redshirt. But that was a blow, and it reminded me of that Big West championship and Emmy going down and Tommy going down, and our team has done nothing but exactly what they did then. We're rebounding in a really, really good way. It's not poor us, it's who's up next. And we've seen that from a young freshman, Charlotte Kelly. She hit 692 the first day in the gym with us. So, I think we've got some good things ahead from some of our younger kids in the gym. And then you mentioned Elif, and I couldn't say enough great things about her last year, and coming in as a true freshman and having the impact she did in a tough position to play, but really good with her serve receive, defensively, second contacts. And I have a trio of libero DSs right behind her that I think are biting at her heels. It's going to be a competition for sure at the libero and the DS positions for us.
Well, just the 3 athletes we've been talking about here, they had a lot of weekly awards in 2024. Emmy Bullis, 3-time Big West Setter of the Week, 2nd time All Big West, All Academic Team. Brecklin, 1-time Big West Freshman of the Week, All Big West Freshman Team, and All Big West Honorable Mention. Elif, Freshman of the Week and Defensive Player of the Week, All Big West Freshman Team, and another Big West Honorable Mention. I mean, when you hear the accolades that your players are getting, how does that make you feel as a coach that they're able to perform at such a level?
Yeah, I think it's just that they're understanding and trusting of our systems, offensively and defensively. I think we go into a lot of detail with what we want our kids to do, and that takes a lot of trust, and it might not be that they're getting every set in the times they think they should, but it's because we have a system in place and we're trying to figure out how other teams are defending us and then make decisions offensively based on that. And from Emmy's perspective, I think she did a really good job last year of settling into that, and we'd have a game plan, but she would also go and make good real-time decisions on her own. And Brecklin was unstoppable on the slide last year, an all Big West first team honoree, and what she does with that ball is incredible, and we're gonna miss her. But I think the coolest thing that's happened since her injury is that she's already pulled this freshman aside and watched film with her, and that's who we are. That's what Cal Poly is. It's not about the individual, it's about the group, and to see her respond in that way has been amazing. And yes, Elif dug so many balls for us last year, and we expect the same out of her this year, and she's always staying for extra reps. I think Forge is going to have shoulder reconstructive surgery by the end of this preseason. She always wants, 100 more serve receive balls. So if you see him, holding that right shoulder, that's why.
Well, I'm looking at the rest of the new names you have on the roster. You actually haven't mentioned them, Charlotte Kelly and Brooke Hansen. Potential of them seeing time here as, I believe, their first years or freshmen.
Yeah, Charlotte Kelly for sure. She's going to be the one that we look to come in and play in that other middle spot. We have another late add to the roster after Brecklin got hurt, a kid named Katie Foley, who has played a little bit more on the right than in the middle, but she'll be in the middle for us in training as well. And Brooke Hansen is a highly athletic, highly knowledgeable player that is going to do some big things for us in the future. With the loss of Brecklin, like I told the team this a few days ago on day one, I don't know. I don't know if we'll be in a 5-1. I don't know if we'll be in a 6-2. I told them we're going to turn over every rock. We're going to explore every possibility, and we're going to make sure that we're playing our best volleyball at the end of November. So just calling on all of them to be ready to be inserted into whichever role that I find for them in that moment.
Well, let me ask you this, Carolina. What has you most excited, or what are you most excited about here in coming up in 2025 in the Big West?
Yeah, in the Big West, I think we're going to see a lot of new names. As I was prepping for this interview, I went through the first team, the second team. We only returned 5 of those 14 players. So I think there's a lot of space for new people to step up to the challenge. And, I think that Davis returns a good amount of those kids. Santa Barbara returns, most of those players. Hawaii, Long Beach, San Diego lost some kids in the portal, so it'll be interesting to see what they've found to replace and how that's going to go. And as you've mentioned, obviously, we lost about half of our starting roster. So, I think it's a challenge for all of us programs to rebuild. Santa Barbara and Davis probably having just that most consistency coming back into the year. But I'm excited to compete. I'm excited to play Hawaii for a final time. I think that'll be really, really exciting. And Davis is the split match for us this year, so we'll just have them one more time at home. But definitely thinking about those two matches against two. They've been heavy competitors of ours, for a long time. So excited to play those 2 matches against 2 quality programs.
Excellent. Well, on a more personal level here, you have an opportunity to become the 3rd winningest coach in Cal Poly's history. What in such a short amount of time? What are your thoughts on your coaching accomplishments while being there for the Mustangs?
Yeah, I've been really lucky to be in one place for my entire career, and we talk about that, a lot as a staff, just how fortunate we are to be together doing something we love in a place as beautiful as this with a great education behind it. And it's not about me. It's hardly about me. And maybe that's why we've had success, is that, we all understand this is all of us working towards a common goal. I empower my assistants to have a voice in the gym. We empower our athletes to do the same, and I think beyond everything, we lost Lizzie. She went to Auburn because we couldn't get her into grad school. And that's a Cal Poly thing, but we don't have players leave this program because they want to. And that is what I'm most proud of, is that we retain our players, we treat them right. We think they like to work really hard for us because we treat them well and they're happy. So yeah, the wins are wonderful. It's what keeps, I think, us able to recruit into future classes. But in the moment, it's making sure that we're doing this the right way that I'm most proud of.
Well, I want to ask you this, being that a fellow female coach won a national championship, but what are your thoughts on a female coach winning a natty in the NCAAs?
Incredible, and not only that, but that she did it with everything that was on her plate. And I think it's a good reminder just of sacrifice, and just watching someone go through something like that, but still be able to do their job at a high level. And I'm sure depended on so many pieces of that puzzle of her staff and her players, and them just coming around to support her. It's an incredible story. But for sure, being a strong female, in this space is hopefully going to become more of a common theme. And not that we don't have great male coaches who care about student athletes well, but coaching females, I think it's especially important for us to be role models that are able to show, especially people that have kids, that you can be a working mom in this profession. I think it's why female student athletes sometimes don't stay in this sport, and for me, it's important to have my kids around, for the girls to see that and how I make it work, and, hopefully model it well enough and excite them enough that they'll stay involved in the sport in a coaching aspect in some way, shape, or form.
Right. Wanted to get your thoughts on the direction of the Big West and expansion with the addition of Sacramento State, CBU, and Utah Valley.
Excited, great. Like I mentioned, sad to see Hawaii and UC Davis leaving. It's been an amazing run competing against them. But I think the Big West did a tremendous job in filling those spots quickly. I think the Big West is in a really healthy space with the number of teams we have. Not only the number of teams, I think that all of the teams in the Big West know who they are, and not teams. I guess it's more athletic departments, and we're not being driven by these big football decisions swaying one way or the other. So hopefully there's going to be some consistency here in the next few years with this conference. And for us, I think it's been a struggle trying to figure out what kind of schedule are we going to play, and what's the tournament going to look like with the changing number of teams. But hopefully once we get that squared out and that can stay the same for a while, I think it's going to be great. And not only that they did it quickly, I think the teams specifically in volleyball that they picked fit the bill really well. You're talking about two teams in Utah Valley and Sac State that won over 20 matches last year, and a lot of respect for both Sam and Ruben, and then Trevor building a new program at CalBAP and the staff that he's already picked and the kids that he's getting in the portal. I think you're going to see some really good things really quickly from them. So 3 teams I imagine will be competitive right away, and excited to have them in 26 and beyond.
Well, I wanted to ask you about what you think the competition is going to be like here in 2025, being that we talked about expansion, but we got to still hang out here in 25.
Unpredictable, I think, and I think we say that every year, and we just all go in there and beat up on each other, and it's any team on any given night. I think that it's going to be great again, and hopefully everyone can remain, or for us moving forward, but everybody else injury free, and we can all give each other our best shot. And I self-admittedly was not a big fan of that Big West tournament before it took place, and our experience the last 2 seasons has been nothing short of fantastic. And to be one of those 6 teams at the end is so exciting. You can be 1, you can be 6. I think being there and having a shot at that Big West championship is what we all work for, and it's what we're talking to our players about daily as well.
Well, final question for you, Caroline. It's not a gotcha question, but it's funny, when the question was sent out, for some reason, only a handful of coaches actually answered it. But what is your only the bold prediction in the Big West this year?
Okay, only the bold. I think we're going to have 2 new teams in the Big West Championship this year that were not in last year's Big West Championship. So I think 2 of the 6 teams from last year will be different.
Head coach Caroline Walters of Cal Poly and the Mustangs. I'll catch you this season as the Mustangs gear up for 2025.
Thanks, Rob. Always a pleasure.